So, approaching 7:32, after 61 aftershocks in the wake of last week's Pohang earthquake, it's understandable that local residents have been feeling anxious. On top of that, the uncertainty and stress stemming from tomorrow's rescheduled college entrance exam, or sunung. To assess the psychological impact of these converging events, of the earthquake, to get some tips on how to overcome that, let's bring in Dr. Chung Chanseung, a psychiatrist at the Disaster Mental Health Information Center, a member too of the board at the Korean Society for Traumatic Stress Studies. And good morning to you. Thanks for coming to the studio.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
I presume you don't have any tips for getting my voice back, so I'll just stick. I'll stick with the earthquake first. I mean, thankfully, this wasn't the kind of earthquake that's caused widespread tragedy abroad, but it's still a big deal for this country, a 5.4 magnitude quake. And can you help us to understand the state of mind of people in Pohang, how that would have been after such an unexpected occurrence?
Yes, earthquakes occur suddenly and unpredictably. And earthquakes may result in extensive damage to communities, including the collapsing of schools, homes, and even tall buildings. Because earthquakes are unexpected and can be very destructive, experiencing just one can be terrifying. People can develop fear of being injured or killed. They see collapsed buildings or other destruction. Their homes have been destroyed. Earthquakes are particularly difficult physically and emotionally for people who are disabled or have special needs. Many mental health professionals specializing in disasters are gathering in Pohang and helping residents, especially psychological support teams of 5 national hospitals are there, and they are actively providing counseling and working for restoration of residents.
I mean, it's a reminder for us all, of course, how fragile life is, but to be there and have it on your doorstep, it's more than just a reminder. How serious can these symptoms become for people affected by earthquakes and other natural disasters?
Yes, earthquake aftershocks are very common. Over time, aftershocks generally become less strong and less frequent, but they can cause more damage and injury than the original jolt and can occur for months following the original earthquake. In the aftermath, people may continue to encounter sights, sounds, smells, sensations, and inner feelings that remind them of the earthquake, even years later. These traumatic reminders can bring on distressing mental images, thoughts, and emotional physical reactions. Common reminders include aftershocks, cracks in the wall, rumbling noises, destroyed buildings, smells of fire and smoke, the place where they experienced the earthquake, seeing people with disabilities, funerals, anniversaries of the date, and television or radio news about earthquakes. Mm-hmm. An earthquake may serve as a reminder of prior trauma and loss, making the current reactions even worse. Post-earthquake problems with living conditions, food, water, electricity, transportation, schoolwork, and daily routines may make daily life very difficult for weeks or even months. Efforts to contend with these adversities may significantly reduce a person's coping and emotional resources, and in turn hinder their ability to recover. Post-earthquake studies of children and adults from around the world have found that those with the most severe earthquake-related experiences and losses have the most severe and persistent post-traumatic stress and grief reactions. Depression associated with post-traumatic stress reactions and disruption to living circumstances often occurs after major earthquakes. Ongoing problems may include marital discord, substance abuse, delinquent, aggressive or withdrawn behavior, and complaints about physical health, including headaches, stomach aches, rapid heartbeat, tightness in the chest, and appetite and digestive problems. There can be widespread separation anxiety in children and adolescents following the events. So children and adolescents lose trust in the safety and security of the world and in the ability of others to protect them. So specialized trauma or grief-focused mental health services can help people recover from the psychological consequences of an earthquake. And this is important message. Several studies have found that 50% of people who have symptoms of trauma immediately after the event escape from the initial impact response within 3 months. Within a year or two, 80 to 90% of people will accept earthquake-related memories as part of themselves and return to their daily lives. It is especially important for people who have experienced earthquakes to maintain their daily lives as much as possible. We must avoid searching for earthquake-related information for too long time or finding too much immersion in negative thoughts in order to find stability in the present situation. We cannot determine the occurrence of a disaster, but we can determine how to deal with the disaster.
And it sounds like that advice could be applied to a whole range of sources of anxiety, not to be too fixated on whatever the source of anxiety is. Maybe we can get some general tips in a few moments. This earthquake, though, is not only affecting people in the Pohang area, but those who have witnessed this indirectly through television, for example.
Yes, repeated viewing of television images of the earthquake could traumatize some viewers, whether they had experienced the original event directly or indirectly. Children may be especially vulnerable to strong images and reminders. As the news outlets inform people about earthquake events, so too can they educate families about how excessive viewing of TV coverage may impact viewers, especially children. Many experts encourage parents to talk about the news with their children. Young children may overestimate their risk when they see pictures of frightening events. Parents should clearly describe the events taking place and place them in context. It is important that parents find out what children are worried about and discuss the worries with them.
For someone who thinks they might be experiencing trauma of some kind here, what would your advice be?
Yes, if you experience the disaster, please talk to each other and also keep in contact with them. And remember that anxiety and pain are the normal reactions anyone may experience, and these reactions will decrease slowly as time passes. And please share your overwhelming emotion together and take care of your body and your mind. Please take enough rest and refrain from depending on alcohol, tobacco, or any harmful drugs. Please, if you have any further problems, talk to specialists. It really helps.
What about for those who are helping victims? We know that actually a lot of people have been rushing to Pohang as volunteers, which is wonderful to hear about. The general public, though, who want to be a good Samaritan, as it were, what advice would you have for them?
If you are trying to help those who experience disaster, please spend time together and give them sense of security. And exchange eye contact with those affected and talk to them slowly than you normally do. And please deliver clear messages in short sentences. And please refrain from forcing them to talk about their painful experience because it is too painful. And try to tackle the issue the person is suffering from instead of trying to ease the pain the person is feeling. In this kind of disaster situation, it is easy to be misled by vain rumor or to blame others. Each person has different coping style and coping speed. The most important thing is to respect each other's different ways. Some people overcome this crisis by helping others, but others need their own time and space. In such a case, respecting the reaction and attitude of others is the first and most important aspect. Some people do not want to receive help, so it's important to let them know that they can get support anytime they want it. It is important for us to acknowledge that each person has his or her own way rather than an attitude that labels certain things as right and others are as wrong.
Yeah, makes sense. But going back to kids, you mentioned can be particularly vulnerable. Are there specific methods or bits of advice that parents can employ?
Yes, if you are an adult taking care of children who experience disaster, please do not leave the child alone. And offer reassurance and try to make them feel that they are safe. Families can give child a tender hug and gentle stroke. Please remember that defiant, dependent, or selfish attitude of your child is a common stress reaction. Please do not scold the child and be receptive to such reactions.
Well, this is where we can broaden out the discussion as well, because there are many people, well, actually nearly 600,000 to be precise, about to take the Sunung College entrance exam tomorrow. And then if you broaden that out to family members and concerned loved ones, you've got millions of people affected by this postponement because of the earthquake, and it will take place tomorrow morning. Yeah. So what could you say in terms of advice for test takers, in terms of coping mechanisms? Anyway, they'll be anxious, and then on top of that, the uncertainty as a result, the aftershocks. They might be wondering in the Pohang area whether they're going to have an aftershock during their exam.
Yes.
But even people in Seoul and elsewhere, they might have that feeling of uncertainty because of this week-long delay.
Mm-hmm. After experiencing disaster, our mind and body can go through change or even feel pain. Such stress reactions are normal and anyone can experience them. If the symptom is severe, you can always get professional support. And I'll give some advice. The following are the ways of stabilizing your mind after going through a disaster. The first one is deep breathing. If you feel tension, without knowing, you would have a sigh, whoo, and that is the deep breathing. Inhale through your nose, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, making a whoo sound, as if you blow a balloon. Exhale slowly, and focusing on the feeling of your chest is becoming empty.
And you just keep doing that?
Yes.
Right. And then another kind of breathing?
Yes. The second one is abdominal breathing. For abdominal breathing, fill your abdomen with air like a balloon when inhaling, and breathe out the air and make your belly flat when exhaling, and breathe only through your nose. Imagine that you are breathing in slowly and deeply so that the air reaches your lower abdomen. Breathe in and out slowly and evenly, and focus on the feeling that your lower abdomen is becoming firm.
And if some of our listeners have tried the breathing or just don't want to do that again, they've tried it in the past and it's not worked, have you got another couple of techniques for us?
Yes, the third one is grounding technique. It is to feel that you have your feet on the ground and to come back to here and now. Place your feet flat on the ground and focus on the feeling of your feet touching the ground. After lifting your heels, drop your heels with a thud. Then gently press the heels toward the ground and feel the hard ground. And the last one is the butterfly hug. I like this one.
the butterfly hug.
Yes.
But you don't need anyone else for that. What? Tell us how to do it.
Yes. The butterfly hug is a method you can use to ease your own mind by self-patting both right and left sides of your body when your heart is pounding due to sudden tension or when you are reminded of a painful scene, so that such symptom can pass away quickly. Cross your arms over your chest and place your hands on the forearm over your opposite side. Just like a butterfly flapping its wings, slightly pat each side of your forearms, one side at a time for 10 to 15 times.
I'm trying it now.
Yes, it helps.
Yeah, well, I'll keep going while you tell us more.
There is no easy solution to coping with post-disaster problems, but taking time during the day to calm yourself through relaxation exercise may make it easier to sleep, concentrate, and have energy for coping with life.
Obviously, very, very, very important to find personal ways that work for you. I mean, there are 4 techniques right there that you could try, all of them, one of them. And even if we hadn't had this earthquake situation, you'd probably be wanting to try them while your loved one is sitting in that Sunung exam room or while you yourself are preparing to take the exam. Dr. Chung, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Chung Chanseung, psychiatrist at the Disaster Mental Health Information Center. Wonderful to have you right here in the studio. If you've got any questions right now, we'd love to bring them forward, or you can offer advice to fellow listeners. #1013 for 51 per message.